Hi, ladies and guys. It's Carol Henninger, founder of Need a Job Now Tips, a website dedicated to researching and bringing you up-to-the-minute information on the internet, and the creator of this 3-part free video training series on finding the right career for you. And I want to welcome you to Need a Job Now Tips Academy. In this 3-part free training video series, I'm going to show you how your knowledge, expertise, and common sense, you can use all 3 of those to figure out what your dream job looks like. And while this 3-part free training video series is going to share with you the best practices of experts, it's also going to be very, very helpful. So make sure you've opted in at needajobnowtips.com website to receive all 3 videos. In this second video, we're going to talk about help. I need a new career. We're going to take a look at 4 people or 5 people and how they started down one path and then quickly changed direction in an entirely new career, and how they did it and how you can repeat those steps as well. But first, a recap of the first video. If you haven't watched the first video, stop now and go back and do that. But if you're like 40% of Americans, you'll consider a new career in 2013. At least this is according to a survey by Parade Magazine and Yahoo Finance. But if you're like the rest of us, you're probably asking yourself, okay, yep, I don't like the career I chose. I'd like to go to a new career, but where do I start? How do I figure out what the right career is for me? Well, there's plenty of self-assessments, tests, and websites dedicated to career placement. If you've never taken one before, by all means, go out and find one and see how accurate it is. Or you can do this yourself. In video 1, I provided you a worksheet called The Secret of Professional Freedom, 4 Steps to Finding Your Dream Job. If you didn't get an opportunity to download the worksheet yet or watch the other training videos, you can go ahead and do that at needajobnowtips.com. In the first video, we talked a little bit about discovering your strengths. These strengths are not things that you're good at. They're things that empower you. So activities that you do that make time fly by or makes you feel confident. We also talked about explore opportunities to go ahead and put yourself out there. How many times have people asked you to join them or join an activity that you've never done before, but you kind of shied away because you felt were self-conscious or just didn't think it interested you? But these are our opportunities fall in your lap when you go out and look for things that you haven't done before. The third thing is what I call mini jobs. This could be an internship or a volunteer job, but to do something that you wouldn't normally think of doing and make yourself available and learn from other people and opportunities that you would have never even thought to try. And finally, as I mentioned, you're going to find people and opportunities that will take you to the next level, and you're going to find people and opportunities which aren't so helpful. It's all common. It's not considered a failure, but you need to take what you can, what's a good advantage for you, and rinse and repeat. Now, on to video 2. So a joint survey by Parade Magazine and Yahoo Finance showed that Americans, 40% of them would choose a different career, and only 60% of them currently would stay within their same career. And some of the reasons why, well, people thought incorrectly that their jobs were stepping stones for something else, or they felt that they were on a treadmill going nowhere. And more than 50% believed that their colleagues who were good at office politics got ahead faster than anyone else. So these 50% people felt it's not necessarily what you know or how good you are, but who you know. Now let's take Martha Stewart. She's a former stockbroker turned caterer, and now Miss Stewart runs an empire known as Martha Stewart Living Omni Media. And if you've been living under a rock the last 20 or 25 years, let me just tell you a little bit about how her history is. She is one of 5 siblings. She grew up in modest surroundings, but as a teen, she babysat, she organized parties like birthday parties, and did part-time modeling. Her parents, who grew up in modest surroundings, so her mother taught her to sew and cook and can. Her grandmother taught her how to can. Her father taught her how to garden and do things around the house. And eventually she used those skills to start a catering business. Now, her first house she bought was like a handyman special. So her and her husband worked at remodeling it. And she started catering. She had a partner in the beginning, but eventually bought the partner out. And a cookbook was her first published book. the rest, I say, is history. She has now she has magazines and books. She has dabbled into everything you can think of along the lines of remodeling or decorating. And she got herself into trouble a few years ago. Well, she was never tried or convicted of insider trading. That is what she was accused of, in the media at least. And she paid the price for it. She was arrested and convicted for lying to a federal official. She served some time in prison, but she turned her whole self around, turned the business around. It is back on top again. So good for her. The next one you probably recognize, Joy Behar. She was a former high school English teacher turned comedian. And now she's the co-host of The View and the Joy Behar Say Anything show, as well as she continues to do her stint as a stand-up comedian. So just a little bit about her history. She grew up in modest surroundings. She married, had one daughter, and taught, as I mentioned, a high school English class. And then she started to, she did do comedian as a child, a teenager, and went back to it after her role as a high school teacher. So doing the stand-up comedian, she was offered small roles in films. She's done some radio shows before she landed a spot on The View, and even at her beginning in The View was only on a part-time basis. And now she's branched out to a number of opportunities and to this day continues as a stand-up comedian. Al Franken, well, he's a former comedian and writer for Saturday Night Live. He turned national political radio talk show host. He's authored 5 New York Times best-selling books before winning a Senate seat in the state of Minnesota. Now, what might seem a little bit unusual for Al Franken is he graduated Harvard with a degree in political science, so he had an idea about the politics thing. But while he was in high school, he wrote and acted out in the theater and political satires. As I mentioned, he's one of the original writers for Saturday Night Live. He became a New York Times best-selling author 5 times and hosted a radio show before recently winning a seat in the Senate in Minnesota. And Andre Bocelli, Italian tenor, classical artist. Now, he had a talent for singing as a young child, but he became blind at age 12 as a result of an accident. He studied and practiced law, but then was singing for friends on the weekends, and eventually gave up law to sing full-time. A little bit about his history. He grew up on a farm in Italy. As I mentioned, he was blind as a child at age 12, but he learned to play multiple instruments, and he sang as well. He reportedly graduated from law school, but someone actually heard him and got his career as singing as an Italian tenor, but he has admitted that he has terrible stage fright. And he's won many awards, and he has well known for his singing and his instruments, playing instruments. And finally, everybody knows Colonel Sanders. Well, he switched many careers. He's had many, many careers and failed at a dozen businesses in between before having success at his chicken recipe and Kentucky Fried Chicken. And he didn't start into that business until his 60s. So if you think it's not possible for you, just take a look at these 5 people, and it's possible for them, it's possible for anyone. But just to recap what we looked at in the last video, to talk about what are your strengths. What activities come naturally? And activities are tasks that make you feel empowered, where time flies by, where you're complimented for your efforts, and you can play to your strengths. So again, according to Marcus Buckingham, it's not something that you're good at. It's something that comes naturally, that makes you feel empowered. The other thing you need to look at is, what is your work style? Do you prefer or need a flexible work schedule, maybe due to other commitments, family commitments or obligations? Do you like flexible deadlines? Or do you require a more structured environment where there's stricter guidelines and rules? And I actually read somewhere that even though we complain about our 9-to-5 job and our hour for lunch, that actually something like 90% of us need that structured environment to keep us on task and to keep us on schedule. But the other question you need to ask yourself is location. Location, 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 as they say in real estate. But do you want to work from home and have a more balanced work life? Do you prefer to travel? Or do you like to be in a small regional office? Or would you rather work in a large corporate headquarters? All of these things are things that you really need to think about. You need to ask yourself these questions because depending upon your answer, it's going to help you steer you in the right direction as far as what jobs you may be good at or interested in doing. And finally, your work relationships. Do you prefer to work individually, as a member of a team? And are you seen as a solution provider? There are many people, if you think of programmers like at Facebook or Google, programmers are known for working individually. They do well when they have the flexibility. I mean, that's why Google and Facebook, they're known as one of the best places to work because they have basketball courts and driving ranges, and they have daycare on site, and they have free lunches and free phones because they don't want people like programmers to be burdened with thinking about how to get the kids to daycare or a 9-to-5 routine. They want them to have the flexibility to be able to code or do programming when it comes to them. On the other hand, there's a host full of jobs where you're a team member and your strengths or your complement someone else's weaknesses. So if you want your life, your job, and your relationships to be different in 2013, then you need to look at what you're doing now, what's working, and what's not working, and then change your strategy and change your story. So do me a favor and comment below. What is working for you right now? Or what is not working for you? How can we help you change your story so that you can have the best year ever in 2013? Now, what's coming up in the next video, video 3? Well, what's holding you back? Oftentimes it's fear. So how can you use fear to your advantage? They say if you're going through hell, just keep going. How can you do that? And do you have a support system in place? And as I previously mentioned, if you haven't already downloaded your worksheet, be sure to go to needajobnowtips.com and download The Secret to Professional Freedom, a 4-step plan to finding your dream job, the worksheet, and other training videos. And here's what to do next. Download the worksheet and complete The Secret of Professional Freedom, a 4-step plan for finding your dream job. Keep an eye out for more free training and leave your comments below. Make sure to like the video and please share this video with your friends. Don't forget, comment below. We'll see you in the next video.